let's get on with this, all right? So, welcome to the Hospitality Podcast. My name is Mehdi Rahman. We have Joana Oliveira and Matthew Drummond-Poynter as our hosts. And today we have our guest, Yasin. Yeah, you doing all right, Yasin?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And how's everyone else doing?
Good.
Yeah, doing all good.
And we're going to look into what to consider when making a great menu. And I mean, we can all relate to this. I mean, us, Yasin, yeah, we've been to a lot of Asian restaurants, man. Like in our lifetime with our own families, and everything like that. Considering, just the amount, considering like, the communities that we're from. Like I'm from, and we bought like East London in particular. I mean, it is a bit of a debate, but you can agree with the idea of East Ham and like our next door kind of like area as well in Newham.
Yeah, it's full of Asian restaurants as well. Do you know what I mean? Very good Asian cuisine.
Yeah, to the iconic Green Street as well. Where
Green Street. It's always been like that every year. Do you know what I mean? It's probably like a new Indian restaurant or something opening up every year in Green Street and stuff. Yeah, it's competing with the other Indian restaurants.
I mean, the community in East Ham as well, like example, when we look into restaurants there, it has such a strong Southern Asian to Bangladeshi and Pakistani kind of community. So it's a very like rich community where people from different Asian backgrounds will go there to,
That's true.
And it takes in a lot of restaurants there take an accommodation to the taste profiles of each different communities. And a lot of restaurants would have themes in relation to the communities that they are serving to.
Yeah, of course, they make sure that each cuisine is like, is liked by different types of the different communities and stuff. For example, you got the Bengali community, you got the Indian, South Asian community, but of course you got the Indian community, but you got this like some of them are vegetarian as well, which like the vegetarian food. And you got the Bengalis that are the meat eaters as well. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, you got different
like different types of dietary requirements, as well as looking at
like vegan, vegetarian, all of that.
I mean, you want to make sure that when you're catering to the targeted markets, it's all about strong community ties, as well as being very extremely accommodating to all different types of say religions or ethnic kind of like requirements, dietary requirements, because some say follow the Hinduism for religion, which is strictly to allow strictly like a vegetarian option, considering from not allowed to eat meat, but also for Muslims they're not allowed to eat anything that is not halal meat, like as in it's been serviced by the HMC requirements. And that's a standard practice when you go for your procurements for your products as well, that they've all been certified, as well as being humanely responsible for the acts for for halal.
Yeah, also it's also like how you got the Hindu community, you got the Indian community, you got the Hindu community within the Indian community, and it's not just like appealing to them, but you're appealing to the vegetarians as well within the community. So you're doing something very well for the community as well. You're appealing to other groups like the vegans and stuff. People are much more health conscious nowadays as well. So this will appeal to the majority of the community, I believe.
I mean, and not only that as well, when we look into designing a menu as well, we want to think about if it's very profitable as well as being health conscious and ethical as well. And not only that, I think the first look at your menu is considered being very important. Would you say, Matthew?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like the first time that someone looks at your restaurant and the restaurant menu and the overall layout of the thing, how it looks, what items are kind of in certain places, all of this plays into creating kind of your first impression. We've talked before about how first impressions are extremely important on the matter of websites and such, but this is another aspect where your restaurant can kind of make that kind of first impression. If your menu is particularly like dazzling, it's informative, customers don't feel lost trying to navigate it, it's kind of like the right size, because certain menus can be too large and certain ones can be too small, customers can feel starved for choice or have too much choice. All of this kind of plays into kind of how a customer feels emotionally about your restaurant's offerings. at their first time ordering, which is a particularly kind of stressful stage, particularly for people who are kind of like prone to anxiety or kind of insecure or kind of indecisive. All of these can kind of go and guide them through it. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of things to take into account with it. I guess the best way to start would be on things like visual elements. So your menu should probably stick to like one kind of really striking design theme. You probably don't want to like mix design themes. I know certain restaurants like to do this. They like maybe have, I don't know, like so with certain like mixed cuisine menus, they might have like the Chinese section with like very kind of like Chinese and Oriental inspired decal combined with on the other end, let's say
red and gold
kind of more plain, yeah, red and gold, that kind of thing. And then there might be on the other end other kind of like cuisines or kind of like more kind of bare sections, and it just doesn't work. If you want to have a menu, you want to stick with this kind of like strong uniform design to kind of create a more powerful image. In terms of other ways that you can kind of make your menu more striking, there's certainly a lot of ways you can do this while guiding them through it as well. For example, sectioning off areas into boxes. You see this all the time in menus nowadays, but perhaps you haven't really considered why. It's an excellent way of grouping things. Boxes being very strikingly coloured can guide customers towards certain kind of items on there. And again, all of this can just kind of make your menu easier to navigate while looking good in the process.
And also to add to that, don't make your menu extremely with a lot of plates and different plates. Like I understand you want to be there for everyone, but if you have like 10 dishes for each, your menu is going to look clusterous. What was the word? Yeah, it just looks bad because it would have a lot of tiny writing, so the people have to squint and look and trying to figure out what they want, and like could be 2 or 3 pages of like 10 different dishes for like vegan, vegetarian, people that eat meat, people that have allergies. So even the allergies, which has to be like a small thing that says includes gluten, will be probably lost in translation because of so many dishes that you have. So make it clean. Like you can have like let's say 5 options for each, but make it clean so people can actually see and be like, okay, I can see these dishes. I can pick out of 5, you know.
And when informing people about allergies and stuff like that, and if the meal is vegetarian or vegan, I think that should be the most clear thing on the menu. And when you are actually writing that, I like what she said about how nothing should be too close to each other or small. If you have a certain type of menu, like a rice dish or a meat dish, you want to actually separate it from each other. So you have actual space to write in bold or in green, or it's vegetarian, or in bold. These are the allergies you could get from it. Do you know what I mean? So these are the big things that people look for first. These are the things people look for first. Like, I'm going to eat this food, but what's in it?
I mean, also as well, to be having in relation to food allergies and allergens, you have to make sure having the 14 food allergens with it, like celery, gluten, crustacean, eggs, fish, lupins, milk, molasses, mustards, nuts, peanuts, sesame seeds, soya, and sulfur dioxide. Like these 14 allergies have to be mentioned. You have to make sure that even if you have it from within your menu or in your restaurant, you've got to make sure that any item that you use, you have to make sure that any ingredients, everything like that, if anything's related to those 14 allergies, you've got to make a note of that, because you do not want to have someone having an anaphylactic shock, go, just like, that will probably be the most terrifying and most off-putting thing, where a customer has become sick as a result of an allergen being in the food that was not specified earlier from the menu. So that's why.
Because the customers trust you, they trust the people that own the restaurant. So the fact that you don't put it out and then they have like an allergy attack, and then you say, oh yeah, you had this sort of thing, it should have already been there. The client can't just risk his life on a bet that maybe the food won't have what is allergic to, so it has to be clear and upfront. And I've seen it a lot now. Every time I go to a restaurant, the waitress asks me if, like, me and whatever else is with me, if we have allergies. So it's a really good thing that they ask you upfront before they didn't used to. Like when I used to work, they wouldn't ask the clients if they had allergies. The clients would just tell us, oh yeah, by the way, I'm allergic to this. Is it in the food? And then we would have to say yes or no, depending on the food they were talking about.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And it's kind of good that we're making those kinds of strident progress. And I think even more that highlights the importance of restaurants kind of integrating those things into their menus, because I know a few people who have mostly lactose intolerant. I don't really know anyone who has like a peanut allergy or something like that, but they will oftentimes actually avoid restaurants that don't stay on their menu if something contains milk or not. Just because they don't want to go through like the effort of like having to ask each stuff, and sometimes the staff don't necessarily know, and they just don't feel safe at that point, kind of ordering at that place. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
if you've listed on your menu which items have these allergens and which ones don't, then they know that you are guaranteeing that they don't, and they can feel safe to like dine at your restaurant and order there as a result, because they know that you are looking out for their safety and letting them know.
I mean, you know, like there's certain cuisine of foods where a lot of allergens that are really used, you know, a lot of food items that people consider having allergies, like say, you know, Thai cuisine where fish oil as well as peanut oil would be used, or fish sauce, that kind of thing. And as well as, you know, egg dishes where, you know, people have like an allergen to eggs as well. Like it's just like these little things where different cuisines specialize in particular kind of items that may be related to the 14 allergens that I mentioned before. It should be you should be considered where you need to make sure that everything is taken into account always, because I feel like not taking it, like not notifying your customers is also in breaching towards the code of conduct as well as health and safety codes that are established in the UK, you know, and whatnot. And not only that, you do not want to have the publicity of killing a customer over allergen. That is
Or a lawsuit, even
Or-
if they don't die, but then they have to go to the hospital. You can
Yeah.
legit get a lawsuit out of it because you didn't state in the menus that the whatever allergy the person had was on the food. So is like, best be safe than sorry and just put
Yeah.
everything on the menu, because it's the one time that the customer is always right. Like they can't change allergies. Like they happen, they're there. It's not something that it comes out of well, it can come out of nowhere. It depends on each person's body types, but still, it's something they should be on the menus no matter what.
Yeah, another thing as well, not just like, of course, the biggest thing is customer health. On the other hand, also affect like, you know, the profitability of the restaurant as well. Because if one thing happens, and it could be the smallest thing to one person of the vegan community or the people that are allergic to, you know, a certain product, it's going to affect the whole community, the community as a whole. Because if one person, so one vegan, he was deceived by the menu and he ate something that's not vegan and stuff, that's going to affect the whole vegan market and stuff. So the vegan target group, they lose a whole target group full of vegans and stuff, and that's going to affect the profitability of the restaurant business.
It reminds me of one of our episodes where we talked about social media and how people post whatever they are on social media. So like you said, if they deceived a vegan to eat something that's not vegan, then they're going to post about it on social media about your restaurant. Other people are going to see it and not come back, and then you're just going to lose a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of people coming to your restaurant.
That's a whole group, and it's not just the group from the area, it's vegans as a whole. Because a vegan or an activist or someone, they'll be looking it up and be like, oh, that's a restaurant that's known for this.
Yeah.
And that's gonna go to everyone else, and they're like, oh, but they're known for this. It's not vegan friendly. So us as vegans, no, we're not going. You know what I mean?
You just ruin your reputation at that point of a restaurant if you screw over a person. You might think, oh, it's just one person, but you can't forget that they have social media and they can tell their friends and their friends can tell their friends. So your restaurant is at stake at that point if you don't make things clear and you don't respect the people that come to your restaurant.
I mean,
plus every business, every restaurant business, every business as a whole has like a forecast of how much they actually want to make, a sales forecast and stuff. this one thing that's happening could be big or could be small, could affect someone in the smallest way, but it will mess up the actual goal of the business, the actual aim, and they have to change up everything from there. It's gonna affect everything from square one for the business.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the word of mouth is kind of like part of the business. People say their opinions about it, but with social media playing into effect, it's like a really big force multiplier where the word of mouth travels, but way at a spontaneous rate where, like you said, it will be spread way more wider than restaurant owners would anticipate, and it could cause like when me and Matthew were talking about reviews in the website episode before in the first one, we made it clear like, oh, one bad review in your website or in your search history of your restaurant can make a very big impact on your business, because not only that, it's about how you respond to it. And if your response from, like, say, your menu items going wrong like this, it can go way ugly. And I think
and doubts always it's always doubts that take over the good side a lot of the time. Same thing with a movie. You see one bad review, nah, he knows what he's talking about. It's like the restaurant. One bad review, 1 star. He knows what he's talking about. If it's a 1 star, it's definitely a 1 star. Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, one doubt, one bad review can affect everything.
Yeah,
I like that you brought the point of the movies, because a lot of people see like reviews and then they won't even watch the movie at that point because they saw the bad reviews. So if you have bad reviews on your restaurant, the people won't come into the restaurant because they already seen the bad reviews. It's something that humans do all the time. We see something that's bad and we're like, yeah, I'm not going to even try it. People said it's bad, so why am I going to put myself into that?
Because if there's money involved, then a lot of the time people do want to spend on something value for money.
Yeah.
If there's money involved, because look, if they could do it to, for example, a movie on Netflix, that's free. They could do it to something that has money involved, like a restaurant and stuff. Like, we're actually spending money. I do not want to spend money on something that I don't like or that has got a bad review. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, let's put it out of the restaurant context for a second of reviews where, like, for example, you probably heard of, I think in a gaming context, I think you guys would know, The Last of Us Part 2, the GTA trilogy remaster got booed out of online. It was crapped on the reviews themselves, and that spread a word, created doubt for everyone, not even want to buy the game or those two games. I'm taking that into like context of the gaming industry, or like just to give like an analogy right here. Like I was like, when you look at the marketing and everything like that, it looked really cool. Like, the GTA trilogy. This is like my example. The marketing, like the trailer for it was amazing and all of that. It was like, it made me feel curious and excited for. But once I read the reviews, once the reviews came in, and there were a lot of them were really negative, it made me so put off and doubt for buying the game, and I couldn't buy it because I was unsure that my experience would be crap because of it. Like,
That's
even
crazy.
from text to video reviews, like online video reviews do make the difference as well now. And it makes you like, oh, I really don't want to buy the game, because it makes your opinion, makes you form that opinion or conform to that opinion. Now, that's why I think when you take it in consideration of your menu design and your menu items, and someone makes a review of your restaurant, and if they make that review negative because of your menu design, because that's the thing that will differentiate you from other businesses or identify you as a business, that it will make people so doubtful that they couldn't even go to your restaurant because they don't want to risk of having that bad experience.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, once you read a review or something that just comes through word of mouth, all the advertisements you saw about it, all the pictures, the colors and everything, design, that just flies away. Do you know? It doesn't exist anymore. Do you know what I mean? That one review will base the whole business as a whole. Like, that's what it is. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And also, like, when someone goes into a restaurant or looks at a menu, something like that, a lot of people, they are attracted to colors and stuff. It affects their moods as well. If I look at something and it's not appealing, then I will get bored. It's going to affect my mood as well. They want to look at something appealing because everyone's mood changes during the day and stuff. if at some point they want to look at something nice, they want to see something nice, they want to feel something nice, and if it's just dull, it's just gonna they'll just walk out and stuff a lot of the time. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree
Mood,
with
mood
like
is a big
colours.
factor. Mood is a big factor. That's the thing.
Yeah, mood's a massive factor. Yeah, and like the colors and like composition of like the images and stuff that you use on your menu can absolutely kind of evoke certain moods. A kind of more homey food, lots of green maybe if you want to evoke a kind of health food feeling. I believe red is it that's been kind of like possibly linked in research towards making people feel hungry, though I don't know exactly how
And I
the
think it's more connected to like the spice level
Yeah.
when the people use
Yeah.
red,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. The more red tone, the more spicy it is, type thing, you know.
Even
Like the
using,
Nando's one, when they
yeah.
for the chicken, for example, we have lemon and herbs, which is like green, and it goes red, it goes yellow, orange, and then red, and like super brown red because it's super hot type of thing.
Right, yeah, and I think this is a perfect example of how like colors and pictures can kind of serve as visual shortcuts in menus. So kind of like saying like everything about a menu item will take up vast amounts of space on a menu, will be overcrowded and it'll look more like a graduate essay or something than a menu, and that's to no one's benefit. But using colors and such, like as you say with like the green and red for the spice example of this one, maybe with like a little image of a chili. I know that certain like restaurants with like increasing spice do stuff like that, provides a kind of visual shortcut, so you don't need to say, oh, this is this spicy, this is this spicy, or list the exact Scoville count or something. You can instead use that, or say if it's vegan or something, then you can put like a little like green V or a little green like leaf or something like that, and then you can put like a little key at the bottom, and that just saves so much in terms of like design space. And you can do something similar with like allergy information and like if meat is halal or not and that kind of thing, all to kind of like provide this kind of like shortcut of experience where people don't have to read through an entire essay to work out like what like each thing contains, and people's brains can just do the work for them, because we're capable of doing incredible mental shortcuts and making assumptions based on just cue images that stir up certain thoughts. So why not take use of that in your menu?
I mean, also with we didn't talk about like identifying different with the layer, like saying V for vegan, like for halals as well, halal meat or halal products were used. It could be like for the say the Arabic word for halal as well as H, or actually saying halal as well for saying it's certified, it's been authenticated. I mean, a lot of restaurants would do as well in the design and layout of the restaurant is to have a halal meat certificate, sticker or certificate in like an award, like to authenticate, oh, we've actually used it and it's been approved by a governing board that inspects on the food products of the restaurant industry. So
I never seen the reward, but I've seen the stickers on the doors that says it.
However, sometimes a lot of restaurants would do that to gain that Muslim following, but they will never have the authentic thing plaqued unless it's in plain view, because you have to make sure that even if you can't just say HMC a lot of people do I can imagine some businesses will be very sneaky with it. I'm not going to say who, but there are businesses will be very I'm not going to be, I don't want to get in trouble, okay?
Yes, tea.
Yeah.
Yes,
but a lot
tea.
Yes, I mean a lot of businesses,
you don't have to say it, but
but it is common though. A lot of practices would mislead their customers, and just to gain that following and attraction. Because sometimes they don't have the certificate with it as well as, because I kind of there's always when there was a document I watched way back here where in talks about I think way back when I was in secondary, that talked about when a lot of restaurants or fast food places are saying halal certified products, but they don't, that they say they do by word of mouth or through the plastering of their building, but they never showed the certification, or when they're talking to the main manufacturers for their suppliers, they don't really disclose the information that much, so it gives that lead to doubt. So I think to build that, you have to make sure that you build up your trust to what you provide, because it's enough saying that you do, but you want to also give more reason for your customers to trust your information. Because again, when I'm generalizing here right now with society. We're in the age of misinformation where the internet can lead to more misinformation or doubts than well as not leading to certainty truth. So I think you have to make sure that even now more than ever, you got to make sure you have your customers trusting you more.
I might sound dumb by saying this, but shouldn't that be illegal since it's a religion
Yeah.
thing, and you're like telling people, oh yeah, trust me on this. Like I have the sticker, but you can't see the certificate, but the sticker is there, and then because then you're forcing people to eat something that is not part of their religion, their beliefs.
Oftentimes it can be illegal. I don't know exactly the specifics in the UK, but in regards to other countries, like I think the US in particular, no, I don't know specifically in the field of religion, but in terms of using words like fresh or farm raised and words such as that in like your menu descriptions of food, which by the way are an excellent way to kind of like clue in a customer's imagination to the food that they're going to eat and what it contains if they're not familiar with the dish. But if you're using words like farm raised and such like, which are excellent ways to show if you're actually doing that, but if you aren't doing that, then that's actually can be illegal. You're misrepresenting what your food is, and you may end up getting a call up from people or just a bad reputation, which, as I believe we've established amply earlier, is a terrible thing for your restaurant, because you, as a restaurant, most of them live or die on word of mouth as advertising.
And other things like some people don't like certain type of food being fried in the same oil as another type of food.
Yeah.
So like, we do halal chicken, but the meat like the lamb or anything is not halal. And they both like, I don't know, there's a dish that consists of them being fried, and some people don't want them to be fried in the same oil and stuff. So they're thinking, all right, you do halal chicken, but is that not fried in the same oil as? So that stuff needs to be like put down in a way in the menu, I think.
That's the same thing with allergies. You can't cut or fry stuff in the same pan you did with something that already has like peanuts or milk or any other allergy, because the oil or the pan, if it is not washed properly, it will still contain that allergy. So then the person, even if it's going to be a minor like a minor attack or something, you can still cause pain to your customer if you don't pay attention to those details.
Yeah, I could feel the pain just hearing that, because I got like an allergy to fish and nuts and seafood. So that feeling of terror you have when your food is real, and I think that's something that, remember, this is like we're trusting you with our lives, and I think that's something to take into account always when you write your menu out. But besides that, apart from that, I think one thing people should do to promote, I think this is another way of marketing your restaurant, is you always got to show off your menu, even through social media now, because a lot of menus are now moving to online, where rather than, because of the pandemic, obviously, a lot of people will not want to touch paper or the actual menus themselves, but rather they can scan a QR code and view the menus from online. So, to increase relative safetyness, rather than, because you don't know where someone has touched, the menu last time and can lead to. I mean, it's still, you want to make sure that you want to have that sense of security with your customers. And not only that, by scanning your menu items and viewing it online, that can give opportunity for other customers to know their other future customers want to buy the food that want to get from the restaurant through, say, promotion of social media, or people who are promoting the food items and promote both the menu and the food that they've been served as well as just putting up on the restaurant when they're making their website. I think through marketing promotion we talked about in the first episode, because I think social media is now becoming much more readily available, and I think this kind of promotion would have a multiplying reach, to other people. I think you're just trying to increase the amount of hands you want to put into your business, and I think making sure you utilize all the tools that are available now, because considering social media is free and everyone's much more, and the amount of people using it are increasing by the day and by the months and whatnot, I think you'd be very silly to actually lose out on this opportunity. So
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, your menu is an excellent piece of content, and if you've put a lot of work into it, and putting it on social media and see dishes you've got and such like is an excellent way to draw people in, and it's just another free marketing tool that you've got at your disposal. Also, if you're kind of frequently like changing your menu, or you change it every so often, take out the dishes that aren't selling, try and put new ones into experiment, which I think is something that every restaurant should be doing when their time and schedule permits. Again, you can use your social media then to post the updated menu and let your frequent and engaged customers know about these changes ahead of time, so they know what to expect going into your restaurant, which I think is kind of like what menus are there for ultimately, isn't it? It's the kind of like, it's not only a tool to like guide them through the dining experience, but it's a way of letting your customer know what they're in for from the get-go.
Yeah.
But also like I said as well, like we said before, try not to make it too cluttered. Try keep it very simple, but yet a very modern design for your menus. But also, just don't get too crazy with the pricing. You have to be very rationalize your pricing based on the amount of ingredients you use and multiply it accordingly and responsibly in accordance to your marketing research of your entire community, knowing what the price ranges from different restaurants and trying to appease to the customers or trying to match with the other businesses in the local area.
That's true. Even with your like sales forecast as well, you always make a sales forecast, what you're gonna sell and stuff. You should always like consider, oh, I'm all right. This is how much I want to make, but am I appealing to the actual community as well to make that much money? Am I appealing to the vegan community, vegetarian? Where I'm based, I don't know. Do people have how much disposable income do people have in the area as well to be spending that much money at my restaurant? Looking at the menu, so that stuff that should be all on the menu and stuff. I should say it gives away on the menu.
Sorry, I mean the Boss Hero app would help. Wait, what is that? That sounded weird. It sounded like I'm echoing. Sorry, but the Boss Hero app that we've been done by OrderPin here will able to keep track of which items your customers are purchasing more recurrently. So it could be something that would be like your main dish items. I'll be saying it will be a way to promote to your best restaurant businesses accordingly. Like, like a lot of people restaurants to say, try my item here. It could be like a signature item of the restaurant because of the amount of people who are purchasing it according to their daily sales report that Boss Hero would provide. So I think it would be a cool way for restaurants to know. And I think hopefully when later on in the future we'll show about Boss Hero, and hopefully the app would help to show business owners and independent parties as well of any other business to show how our apps as well as our services could help. And I think the message to end off with this podcast is try keep your menus very focused, very clean looking, have a very good color scheme that would appease to your food items, but preferably like an orangey to red kind of color scheme, which is commonly used, to attract. But also try and make sure you keep your customers well informed on the allergens, the 14 allergens that I mentioned. So that way you maintain your safety of your customers, and also to really specify the dietary requirements, because you do not want to have a issue where you kind of like disrespect a person's religious practice by them having something that they shouldn't have because you didn't inform them. So and that's the thing, make sure you keep your customers well informed, safe, and also to make sure have a very cool, sleek design for them to really enjoy the potential like happiness that they have for having your dishes. And I think that's the way to end it. Oh no, don't clip that. But anyway, so
clip it.
We're gonna clip it anyway. But anyway, my name is Mehdi Rahman. This is our host, Joana Oliveira and Matthew Drummond-Poynter, and our guest, Yasin. And thank you for coming. And make sure you subscribe to OrderPin and, like and hit the bell. And hopefully we'll see you soon. Yes, comment. I would say thank you and goodbye. But I just want to record because the cat's there. I want to make a compilation
Daniel, make the cat cuts.
Yes, make a cat compilation. All right, that would be amazing. I think this is 100% behind the scenes here. Oh, disrespect.
Daniel, you have all this material.
Yes, all this material, Daniel.
It's just ads. dumb memes over it. I can't wait.
Dummy.
I can't
He
wait.
needs to release the montage parody version of the OrderPin podcast, I think.
Right here. This is gonna be a short episode. I mean, obviously Daniel's gonna make a little bit different on the edit. I know he wants us to reference him a lot because he's the not so
Take a
silent
shot every
editor.
time we say his name.
I know he's the not so silent editor.
Daniel's the real main character of the OrderPin
Yes.
podcast.
He is. Not us, the hosts. Who are talking
No,
about
no,
we're the antagonists. He's like the protagonist here.
Oh,
But he's gonna have fun.
Lord.
He is so gonna have fun watching this over. But like, yeah.
Viewers will
Nice.
never know that we keep Daniel locked in a room and force him to produce content on a daily basis.
I know.
Yes.
We sometimes give him some food and water, but to be honest, I don't like to
Yeah.
spoil him that much.
Me neither.
Yeah, I think we give him too much credit. I mean, obviously he does deserve the credit, but
Does he?
I mean, he's in the basement right now. Yeah.
He's
Oh.
banging again. Bloody hell! He keeps trying these escape attempts. Fucking hell.
But anyway,